I've had a lot of highs and lows throughout my career. I think that qualifying for the Olympics is definitely one of my proudest moments. Crossing the line second at the Half Ironman World Championships in the US is pretty close as well. It's special to be able to race a world champs in your home country, and to be able to cross the line like that high up and be on the podium there was pretty cool. And then I'd say like the Island House Triathlon, winning that race was pretty big for my career. Yeah, you know, it really depends on what time of year it is for me for the training session. And I mean, hours per week even, it could go from 30 hours a week at some points, and I could do as few as, you know, 15 to 20 hours per week. So, you know, over the past year and a half, I've kind of done a mix of like really high intensity and then also like really long stuff. So working on the super sprint and long course training, and have found that it works well for me. So as far as a crucial session for me, I think any sort of race prep, whether that's getting me ready for a super sprint race or getting ready for a half Ironman race, is really important. So whether that's like a track workout for some super sprint stuff, really working on like 2K pace, 1500 meter pace, or if it's, you know, an extended brick session where I'm working on half Ironman pacing on the bike and then the run. And those, we can get creative with either one of those and kind of mix it up, but really just kind of gearing the body up for the effort that's going to go into racing is important. You know, there's a lot of advantages to having a coach, and I think a lot of them tend to be very personal for each athlete. Like, I love Jim as a coach, but maybe he might not be the best for person X, Y, or Z. And what I look for is somebody who is going to keep me honest and make sure to push me hard enough that I continue to grow as an athlete and continue to improve, but not overdo it and overtrain me and you know, cause me to get injured or over fatigued or anything like that. So they really provide the structure and kind of the overall plan and help me implement it and make sure that I'm on the right track. I grew up a swimmer, and I've done a lot of long yards in the pool, but I think like the swim set that's kind of like the hardest to get in and finish is more of like an easy 3K swim, because you get about a K and a half, 2K in, and then I'm sitting there trying to figure out what's next for the last K. And this is like just get in 3K yards, no real structure to it at all, so you got to come up with it yourself. So I think that one is one that can be mentally challenging sometimes. It's a different way to look at training the run. So my coach Jim Vance, he sees it as a way to kind of save the tendons, save some of the pounding that goes into constant running, kind of reset your body. It lowers the heart rate a bit, so it forces you to slow down on the easy runs especially. And yeah, that's one tool that we use to help prevent injury, but there's a lot of rolling and kind of stretching, dynamic warm-up, getting massage and seeing physio and all of that sort of stuff too. And then just kind of being honest with myself on what sort of pain or soreness is this, and is it going to be an issue down the road if I don't take care of it now? So there's a lot of preventative care that goes into keeping myself healthy. I would say do your rehab and don't rush it. Some people heal faster than others, so some people might be able to come back from something in a week or two, and it might take some people 4 to 6 weeks. But the main thing is to eat well, eat a balanced diet, and like make sure you're getting all your nutrients and enough calories and all of that, and really just start off slow, because I think as athletes we're always trying to jump back in. We feel like we're losing time, but I think also you always have more time than you think to gain the fitness back and to get back in, and you'd rather get to a start line 100% healthy and 90% fitness than vice versa. Yeah, I think anybody who's watched me over the years knows that I try and push the swim and the bike and kind of run what I'm capable of. And I guess it's all about measured risk and depends on the race and who's in it and what style of racing it is. But you race to your strengths and you train your weaknesses. So if I can, you know, shed a few people on the swim and then a couple extra on the bike, it's less people that you're racing as the race comes toward the end. So yeah, it's all about risk management, I'd say, and it's a way that I enjoy to race too. Here, I did a 300-meter time trial in long course meters, and I believe I was right at like 314-ish, 313, something like that, in that range, maybe even 312, but regardless, it was between 310 and 315. And, you know, I'm definitely not the fastest swimmer in the ITU. There are some real quality swimmers, but that's not to say, like, there are people who also swim slower than me in a pool who make that front pack as well. So a lot of it comes to get out speed, to how your first dive is, like if you can break the hip of the person next to you or just be near somebody to get up there. So I kind of think of like my pool speed as a bit of like an insurance policy. Like as long as I can have that speed, like I have faith, like, okay, well, that can get me to the first buoy fast. And then by that time, everything is kind of sorted. And then it's just kind of getting through the rest of the swim a bit. In different races, there's different average and normalized power, obviously, and different peaks. So some of the harder races, my normalized power will be around like 330 to 350 watts, but I'm peaking over 550 watts, like 20 plus times, and maxing out like whatever, 1 or 2 second power, sometimes like over 1,000 watts. So I find that at times ITU bikes are more challenging than, you know, Olympic or half Ironman, just because it's a different energy system. It's the multiple peaks of like hard off, and all you have to do is just go out and do 15 seconds hard, like even 45 seconds easy for 10 minutes straight, and you'll see how challenging that is. And it drains you. It's not so much like, I'm very much a diesel engine where I can kind of sit in and I warm up and can kind of like build throughout and like hold a pretty strong pace for a long time. Whereas in an ITU race, like they're forcing me to kind of like over rev a little bit at times. So if you don't specifically train for those peaks, that definitely smokes you. You know, I've clocked anywhere around like 15 minutes and change for like a road race. I haven't done anything super recently with a 5K. I did have a pretty solid 1,500 meter run where I was 358, just over 358. So that for me would be pretty solid, like overall. So I'll have 2 bottles on the bike, usually both sports drinks, so precision hydration in my bottles. Every so often, if it's gonna be a really hot race and I feel like I need some external cooling, I might keep one of like maybe a more saturated type sports drink to get in the electrolytes and calories that I need, but then maybe have something that was frozen and just to try and cool off a bit, so I'm not, you know, wasting my sports drink on and getting all sticky, but have some cooling effect. And then I'll have a couple gels in an Olympic distance, probably about 1 or 2, depending on, you know, how the stomach is and the demands and the heat of the race. So there are targets that I try and hit, and well, I don't know them off the top of my head. Jesse has kind of gone through and created them for me. So I'll have at least 2 bottles full of the precision hydration sports drink to get in calories and sodium, and then gels to supplement calories kind of throughout the entire race. And, you know, again, depending on the heat, you have to adjust sodium content and amount of fluids. So usually it's just adding on another bottle, or maybe adding on another bottle on top of that. And my approach is to kind of try and race a little bit conservative, because I think I have a slightly more sensitive stomach than a lot of people in a race situation. I feel like in training I can handle quite a lot of calories and can almost eat kind of how I want. Whereas when I get into a race, I think the stomach, like between the adrenaline and how hard I'm pushing myself and all of that, then it starts to get a little bit more sensitive to certain things. So yeah, I kind of err on the cautious side. I want to continue racing long course and racing halves, winning the half Ironman World Championships. And you know, I'm sometimes hesitant to talk like going real long and doing Ironman and Kona someday, because that's quite a big jump. But in the meantime, in between, I'd love to race the classics of triathlon like Alcatraz, Noosa, St. Anthony's, and win those. And as we get closer to 2020 is win an Olympic medal in the mixed relay.